guys, welcome to my little workshop, the art of drawing front-facing faces. So let me introduce myself. So my name is Shalini, and I'm a junior in California at Monte Vista High School, and I have 12 years of experience with drawing. I mean, I've been drawing ever since I was 3, and I just find it as a hobby I've really committed to over the years, and I wanted to share my passions with you. So, the workshop that I'm teaching is how to draw front-facing faces. So, about DYC. So, DYC is essentially a nonprofit organization where basically teenagers like me are able to showcase their talents by running free workshops for people that want to learn new skills. And basically, we have a lot of information about us. Like, if you want to check out these links here, then and join the team, that would be wonderful. And yeah, so how you can get involved. So if you want to teach one of the workshops like I'm doing, then DYC is more than happy to welcome anybody. So you can join the team as a student leader and become a member. And basically you can showcase any talents that you have, any skills that you want by applying for a membership and just mentioning any skill that you want to teach. So this is an easy way to earn volunteer hours, and you can even get prestigious awards and leadership recognition. So yeah, if you want any information or if you're considering joining, then check out this email right here, and we'll get started. So my course is, as mentioned before, it's about learning to draw faces. So we'll be covering specifically front-facing profiles. And by the end of the session, you'll learn how to draw detailed faces using the techniques taught. All you need is a pencil, eraser, and a sheet of paper. Hope you enjoy! Hi, welcome to Drawing Faces with me, Shalini. So, basically, yeah. All you're gonna need for this is you're gonna need an eraser, pencil, and a paper. Nothing else, really. I mean, a ruler, if you want to really go at it. But let's focus on these for now. So, basically what I want to do first is I want to establish some ground rules. Basically, those are rules that you should follow when you're doing anything related to art. So, see my paper. I'm gonna write the rules right here. So, only 2 rules. You don't need to memorize them. So, rules. Those are my rules. Rule number 1. First, this is the most important rule, is that whenever you sketch, you need to sketch lightly. I don't know how much I can stress this, because I've run into this situation so many times. And it's just, you're sketching, let's say I'm drawing an eye, right? Sketching, and it's like, oh, I make a mistake. So then when I go to erase it, then it gets all smudgy. And my perfect paper gets ruined. And you see that? It still remains. So especially when you're sketching, when you're still planning out your details, always sketch lightly. Rule number 1. Okay. Now, second rule, and this is a rule that you're going to hear me talk about. You're going to hear me talk about a lot in this lesson, is that when you draw something, the best thing you can do for yourself is to decompose the image into its basic shapes. Okay? So, I'll elaborate on that later, but for now, decompose image into basic shapes. These are 2 rules that you really need to know to, that will really help you. Okay, trust me. So, also, a warning that I should say is that it's not really a rule, but it's just a heads up for you. Remember to keep your papers straight. I tend to write like this, and then my drawings get skewed that way. So, yeah, heads up. Now, let's actually go into the lesson. So, first thing that we're going to do is you are going to search up a reference. Now, you can search it on basically anything you want. Just something that you use to guide you. So, let's see. I'm searching it up on my phone. You can search up front-facing face like that. Don't mind the saran wrap. I'm going to use it later to show you the more. Let's look at this lovely model. Okay. So, we're going to use her as our model just to get, the basic idea of where your eyes go, where your nose go, yada yada, right? You can change it to be however you want. So, first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to look at rule number 2. Decompose any image into its basic shapes. Now, basically what we're going to do is we're going to turn this model's face into shapes and circles. Now I got my saran wrap and I got my marker here to basically show you how. So, when I look at this face, all I see is a face, It's like pretty obvious. But when you look, you can start to see basic shapes. Like, oh, when I look at her forehead, I can see a little circle. I don't know if you can see that as clearly as I can, but I see a little circle. See that pink kind of little circle that extends basically from her eyebrows to her forehead. Right. Basically, look, I already got half of her head, and I decompose it into a circle. So, sorry, my circle needs to go a little bit down because her face doesn't just end there. Oops. And boom. Cool. Now, what else do I see? I see a circle, and I see more circles, so I'm going to outline them. You see, these eyes, right, they kind of resemble ovals, so I'm just going to mark that for me. Like little ovals, or a circle, or a square, I don't really care what. Just whatever marks the eyes and shows you that, oh, this person has eyes. And what else do I see? I see that her cheeks, they kind of look a bit like a half circle to me. So I'm just going to mark that. You see, like a little circle, a half circle, whatever you want, basically. This is going to help you when you're drawing a face, right? See that circle? And then nose kind of looks a bit like a triangle, Whatever, you don't have to put a triangle like I do. But basically, this is just sketching it so that, I know what to draw. And then, yeah, the nose looks like a triangle, the chin kind of looks like a circle, or this midsection between the nose and the mouth, it kind of looks like a circle here, the mouth kind of looks like a little heart, and all of that. See, look, I already decomposed her face into basic shapes. Now we're going to apply those shapes, and we're going to use them as a foundation for drawing our face. So this is where we actually start going on the paper. So, I have my reference here, and I have my eraser, and then I have my pencil, which I just lost. Nope. Okay. And now we're going to replicate these features. Now, the first thing that I drew was a circle. This is going to be her. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle, but this is just to represent top of the forehead to basically where the eyes meet. So this is their circle, right? And then the next thing that I noticed were the eyes, right? Which are these two little circles that basically this bigger circle kind of bisects into, right? So I'm going to draw the eyes. They're like a third of this circle, right? So I'm going to draw here. I'm going to draw a little eyeball there. and draw a little eyeball there. So these are basically to represent where my eyeballs go. What I also noticed that I didn't point out before is that her eyes, as you can see, is roughly, her nose is roughly one eye apart. See that? So this is the length of one eye, this one eye, this one eye. So this eye is going to be one eye apart from that one. Cool. Okay, now is where we start going into our lower section. So this is going to be top of head to the middle of eyes. Okay. And then, yeah. So then the next thing that we draw is the nose, because that can really help us with our placement of the cheeks and of the lips. So from the nose here, what do I see? Are there any more details that I can add on her? Well, it looks here that the nostrils end roughly, if I draw a line up to match the eyes, they end roughly where the eyes start, right? So this is the start of the eyes. This is the start of the eyes, then I could say my little triangle ends right there. Okay, cool. So this is my nose, and then I draw the cheeks, which are just little ovals, right? I draw the little circle, right, over here, and then I draw a little heart to represent the lips, and then I draw the chin. Boom! We basically got, I know it doesn't look like her so far, but we'll elaborate on that. Cool, we got it. Now we have to look at her face shape. Basically, what face shape does she have? What shape does it most nearly represent? For me, I see a bit of an oval. Kind of look at it that way, kind of looks like an oval. So, I'm going to draw an oval to represent, draw an oval to represent, yeah, I know, it's a bit weird, just bear with me. Okay, yeah, draw an oval to represent her shape. And then as far as the ears go, what are some landmarks that I can use? Well, the ears extend from the bottom of the nose to the top of the eyebrows, which we haven't established yet. So I'll just draw it somewhere. Start here. Go up there. So for ears, at least when I'm sketching, I just put a little italicized C to kind of, show, oh, this is where the ears go, and although they're small, they are important when you're drawing out your face. So, great! Now we can throw her away, and we can actually start working on features. So, first thing that I like to do is I like to go from top down. And I like to just kind of smoothen it out a bit. So, basically your ears and this kind of halfway point of the circle should meet. So you can just connect that there. You can elaborate on the jawline a bit, make it more squarish, make it more, circular-ish. Basically connect it so that it's one big figure. Right. Yay! Okay. So, this looks terrifying. So basically, go from top down. So what I start to do is that your face doesn't begin here. Your entire face includes your hair above it, right? So we're going to go to the hairline. Now your hairline, if you want to draw a generic person, it's basically the diameter of this circle, quarter up, roughly. That's where your hairline starts. Right. You can just leave that there. Or if you want, you can elaborate further, but right now we're going to switch to person. Now, wonderful, you got your foundation. The thing that I want you to do is I want you to erase all of it. But I don't want you to erase all of it. But Shalini, what does that mean? So basically what I want you to do is I want you to erase all your hard work, but not enough so that you could still see it. So let's see. I'm erasing lightly because I want to know where, to put all my features. But I don't want it to show up in the drawing, because this by itself looks terrifying. I don't want to show it. So basically you can see now it isn't as visible as it was before, but I can see it and I can basically know where the nose goes, where the eyes go, etc. So top down for your hairline, it starts right here. And what it does is that normally, let me see if I can bring the model up actually. See? You can see this model's hairline. It doesn't go just straight across, right? It isn't just like a buzz cut. It kind of gently goes down to the tip of her ears, right? Where her ears match with her skull. So, we're going to do that for ours, but we're going to make it a bit simpler. So, this is her hairline, right? It's across like that. Now, see that one part of her hairline kind of joins the edge of her skull, where her skull meets the background, right? And then there's this little piece. So we can divide that up into triangles, into two right triangles, essentially. One that's probably about like a 45 degree angle, and then one that's at like a 60 maybe, and then can join that into the skull. Alright, so let's do that on our little person. Let me level out the ears a bit, actually. Don't be afraid if your initial sketch wasn't good. Don't be afraid to readjust it a bit and kind of make it more customized and personal. So, got your hairline in the middle. Now what I suggest you do here is I want you to draw a line down, and basically this is just to maintain your symmetry, right? Just to make sure that your eyes are actually aligned, your nose is fine. So your hairline, I want you to draw a line across, actually complete this part. What I want you to do is I want you to take half of this line right here, and I want you to just join it to the skull, like that. So it creates a nice 45, 45, 90 triangle. Then join it like that. Right. Take it about halfway, and you just drag it down to the skull. And then take about half of this, you drag it down to where this ear meets. See? Right there. And then, boom! That's your hairline. And then now you're just not going to touch it until your drawing's over. So cool. Now that we got that, let us move on to the actual face. Yes. And erase these lines a little so that we have a clear structure, but so that we can see. So let's start on the eyes. Our eyes are here. Hopefully if you didn't erase enough, you can still see them. Now, for your eyes, basically what you're going to do is that what I like to do for my eyes is, again, I like to break them down into shapes, and eyes kind of remind me of a little kite. Little, kite, like that. The ones that you fly at the park, kind of like that, but instead they're your eyes. So, basically, you will want to draw a horizontal kite almost, so it looks like that. Kind of looks like, yes, two diamonds. Rule number one about eyes. Lots of rules. But rule number one about eyes is that you draw them symmetrically. Whatever you do on the right eye, you do on the left eye. Trust me, trust me. because this is gonna haunt you if you don't. Okay, so this is my rough sketch of my two eyes. But hold on a minute, I'm not done. So this is gonna be the inside of our eyes. This tip is going to be your tear duct. Now, if you look at your tear duct, it's red. So what I do is that to symbolize it, I just kind of draw a little line here. So you can see there's a separation of this big part and this tear duct, and then I'm gonna draw a little bit red just to signify, oh yeah, this is my tear duct. Okay, cool. So now, no matter what ethnicity you are, no matter how young or old you are, you're gonna have your eyelids and you're gonna have your eye bags. So your eyelids, basically you can just draw a little outline. That you see this curve? You're going to want to basically replicate it, just put it outside, like that. See, look at that. Then, I'm going to do it like that, on the same line. And then for your lower bags, you're basically just going to take this curve right here. You're just going to lightly do it. Depending on, a person, it's going to vary in depth. And it's basically just going to be like whatever you want it to be. But, yeah, this is like a generic thing that you could do. So, great, you have your basic outlay of an eye. Now, what you want to do is that you want to take your kite and you want to kind of round out the edges a bit, because not everybody's eyes are this, this solid. Basically, I round out the edges by just going over the kite I had previously. Just kind of smoothing it out. Every edge except the sides. And then you do that. Erase it, yada yada yada. Boom. There we go. Okay. So now it's time to draw your pupils. So normally my pupils are 1/3 of the size of my eye. So it's like this big, then I would draw my pupil about that big, right? And I would draw it on the same side. Like that. Boom! There we go. So, now, yeah, you're basically done. Now it's time where we go into more advanced stuff. If you're fine, maybe just skip the recording and then wait till I get on the nose. But if you want to see this is going to involve a bit of like shadow work and a bit of talk about like shadowing and lighting and all of that. So if you're not interested in that, if you just want to you want to get it over with, then skip it. But I'm going to talk about this now. So shadowing, a super important part, especially if you want your drawing to be realistic. Very, very important that you shadow. Okay. So, basically, my general rule about shadowing is that, or at least shadowing on a face, is that basically your entire skin is like putty on a mold, right? And whenever there's a dent, there's going to be light and there's going to be a shadow, right? So if you think of your eye as kind of a dent or like a ball in like a sleeve, then you're going to think, oh, there's going to be some shadow. And you're precisely right. So around the eyelids are basically just coverings of the eye. Something that just stretches around your eye. So there's going to be a shadow here, and there's going to be a shadow here. So what about this space? Now, basically, that's where your eyebrow bone is. I don't know the specific term for it, but that's where your eyebrow bone is. Okay? And this is, since it's a bone, there's going to be a lot of light here, and there's going to be shadows on either side of it. So, if you want, you can just put some lines to kind of indicate that you have a shadow there. Leave this part alone. And then put a little shadow line across because your eyelid makes a shadow. Boom. Okay. Now there's also going to be one under here, and again, depending on how tired you are, what ethnicity you are, you know, all of that, your shadow's gonna vary. But I just put a little shadow just under here, something light, so that it doesn't look like, you know, tired. Basically just cradle the eye side like that. Now what I did was something horrible. I did do it on the second eye, so don't follow that. But yes. Cool. Those are some sketches for your shadow. Yes, you have to sketch everything because that just helps you a lot with your drawing. Now, okay, great. Now there's also going to be a shadow here. Okay, a shadow because your eyelid is covering your eye. So what you're going to do is that you're going to kind of shade it in, draw a line across that extends from the tip of this eyelid to your tear duct, and basically just shade it in a little. Okay. Yes, it goes over your pupil because your pupil is on your eye, which is inside your eyelid. Cool. Okay, now you can actually start to draw why did I keep saying pupil? Eye. Now you can actually draw your pupils and all of your stuff. Okay, so normally for a pupil, I put either a little circle or I put a little U, and that just helps me with just showing that it's a pupil. So my pupil is going to be roughly a perfect circle, just like this one. Okay, so it's going to go right smack in the center of the circle. And normally I prefer just drawing a little U to signify that there's a pupil there. That pupil is gonna go in the direction of wherever this person's looking at. And yeah. Cool. So, you got your shadows, you got your pupil. Now what else do you need? Yes, you need your eyebrows and you need your eyelashes, hair. And maybe just a little bit more shadow if you really want to go super in depth. So basically, tip for hair is that you want to draw it like you feel it. So if you do that, again, not bad, but I suggest normally a better way to do your lashes and do hair in general, that you flick it. See that? It kind of looks like a mix between a check mark and slash almost. But basically what you want to do is when you're making your eyelids, you want to flick it like that. You don't want to make it super like, you don't want to make it like a check. You want to add some roundness to it, but you don't want to make it like this. So basically, it takes a bit of practice for this. I took a while before I learned how to do that. But, yeah. That's just a nice way of drawing your lashes. So basically on these eyes, what you do first is that you draw little U's, which basically show where your eyelashes go. Those are just placements for your lashes. And then on the end of every U, you flick up like that. See that? Look at that. Look at that! I know they're not the best on this one, but it does look nice. Compared to this one looks nice, but if you want to get very realistic, then I suggest you do it this way. Now both your lids have lashes on them, so you do it like that. Your bottom lids lashes aren't going to be as prominent as, they're not going to be as long as the top one, so you can put little lashes there, and boom, there it is. Now, this is like advanced shadowing. So, if you think it's a waste of time, skip forward, and I'll meet you there. But basically, in your eye, if you really want to show that your eye is a ball, then you're going to need some shadowing inside the eye. No, not just here, but you're also going to need some shadowing here, some shadowing here. And this is basically just to show, oh, yes, my eye is a ball. This helps when your character is in like a darker situation where there isn't as much light and therefore there's more shadow on their eyeballs and it kind of turns out like this. Or maybe, yeah, just when there isn't as much light on the character's eyes. So then you just add a bit of the shadow just to show, show that. Okay, so you basically add some shadows around where your iris is, or around where the iris is and where the center of your eyeball is. Now, those are not the same. I know, strange, right? Like, if you take in this case, the center of my eyeball is around here, roughly in the middle. But my actual eye is pointing somewhere else. See, this is the center of the eyeball, but my iris is there. So, remember not to confuse those things. Okay? Now, there's also a shadow here as well. Yeah, so many shadows, I know. So, basically, around your iris, there's a little shadow right there. Basically, if you want to add more detail to your eyes, then you can add these little strands. I have no idea what they are. I'm not a biologist, but basically they're these little kind of marks on your cornea. I don't know what they're for, but they're there. And you can add those in and then just add a shadow around, because your actual eye is not flat. When you look at your eye in a side profile view, don't do this right now because we're doing front facing faces, but I'm just saying, your eye is not going to look like that. Your eye does not look like that. It's not flat like that, right? Your eye looks something like this. Your actual eye is like a little bump. That's what it kind of looks like. Yeah, I know, crazy. Been lied to. Yeah. So, now that we got our shadows, we add our eyebrows. So eyebrows, you kind of want, it's kind of like your eyelashes, but it's not as curvy as them. Basically, what you want to do is that you want to act like you're flicking something off the table. You found a bug on your paper and then you're just flicking it off. So, basically, your eyebrow hair should look something like that. You can make them light and then just kind of add on to them. But basically, the thing that you want is that kind of look where it's like it's going from dark to light and it's kind of fading away. It's becoming thinner almost. You want that kind of effect, because that just makes your hair seem much more realistic. Now for your eyebrows, what I do is that I start straight. So I just keep doing like that. I'm going to get to the eyebrow bone right here, and I curve over on top of the eyebrow bone, not above, not below, but on top of the eyebrow bone, and then I round it out like that. Like that. This looks very scary, but I'll show you with the proportions. Now let's actually go to our paper. So we have our eyes here, right? And now is the time where we draw the eyes and the lashes. So I'm going to draw my little kites right here, right? Those are my kites. And then I draw my eyelids. Super simple, right? And then I draw my lower lids, my bags. And then I add my tear ducts, right? And I round it out a bit. Then I add my shadows. I forgot which order I did this, but add shadows, eyebrow bone, and then boom, there we go. okay? And then, if I want to make my eyes bigger, I can do that. So I thought, oh, you know, maybe I should make my eyes bigger. So I can just lower this line here, I can just lower it, or I can raise the eyelid. So yeah, I do that. And then this is where I add my shadowing, right? So right one on the left of your eye, and then the second one on the right of your eye, one on the left, and then one on the right. Boom. Then I add my shadows down here, which just extends. And then I add my eyebrows. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes around like that. If it helps, I suggest you can make a shape like that before, and just kind of draw into it, and then, you know, kind of erase it off. Just do whatever that helps you. Anything that helps. Doesn't have to be logical, just as long as it helps you. That'll be fine. Okay. Okay. Alright. Now we just add our lashes. Normally I'm more familiar with drawing girls, so my lashes are long. Normally boys have shorter lashes. But yeah, whatever floats your boat, do that. I add my pupils. I'm sorry, I've been saying pupils this entire time when I meant, like, you know, the actual eye. But so I draw my pupils. I draw the shadow here that I mentioned before. You don't have to if you don't want to. Think, oh, you know, they look better without it, then go ahead. And boom. Oh, something that I forgot to mention is that you can also add a little bit of a light right here. You can add a bit of a light. So, right. My face is super small, so sorry. But this will help. Boom! There we go. Okay. Cool. Now that we got our face, now we actually draw our nose. So for our nose, what you want to do is that, sorry, these are the eyes. I'm a very messy person, so don't mind me. And the nose, I'm going to do right up here. The nose is kind of simple. You know, it's just this little piece of flesh on your nose, on your face. So for a nose, what I like to do is I like to either draw a triangle or I like to draw another kite. And basically, all you need is basically this triangle and a little circle. And that's where you're gonna draw your nose. So this circle right here, it represents the little bulb of your nose. If you ever look at yourself in the mirror, you see this like round, huge thing on your face, you know, right above your nostrils. Yeah, that's the bulb. And basically, this just indicates where your nostrils are gonna go. So they're gonna go on either side of the bulb like that. See? Kind of like that. Kind of like a Kirby with two legs. Like that. I'm gonna draw your nostrils. Okay? And then you draw your nostrils. Yeah. So you can either make your nostrils like this, you can make them like that, you know. You can make them like, if you want to go very realistic, then you can kind of do more shading. You know, whatever floats your boat. So then now you add nostrils, which are just going to essentially go from right under your nostrils right here, and they're going to extend to the end of the triangle, like that. You see? Look at that. Now, yeah, that's basically how you draw a nose. It's a very simplistic way of having to draw a nose. If you want just the simplistic way, then I suggest you go forward. If you want to know a bit more about shading, then stick around. So shading on the nose. Basically, shading on your nose is just your most prominent feature on your nose is going to be this bulb. This is going to be the place that has the most light. So you're going to have shadows on either side of your bulb. Right here. Like that. See? Your nostrils stick out a little, so they still retain some light. So you're going to want to kind of go around it. Now, for front-facing people, the light is coming at you, like if it's hitting just right on this bulb, then you're going to have a little shadow under here because your nose is sticking out of your face. It's not just some 2D thing on your face. So, yeah, you have this, you have a bulb, then basically the remainder of this triangle, you're going to kind of shade it in, but lightly. Okay. Boom. And that's it. It's quite simple. So, I have my kite here, right? So then I draw my bulb, my little circle. It's just going to go right in the middle of that kite. See? Right there. I draw my nostrils. Right. You see the bulb, it goes right under. I draw my nostrils, and then I draw the actual nose flaps. And then this is where I start shading. So I start shading this triangle, I start shading around this bulb. And basically, you get a kind of outstanding feature. Look at that. Kind of join it along, complete the rest of this triangle. Right, join it along, and go up like that. Just fade out. If you want to do a little cool fading thing, like this, you can just slide your finger along. Look at that. It's cool, eh? Or, I mean, if you want to go a bit, you don't want to get your hands all dirty, then you can use towel, cotton swab, just whatever you want, you know? So, yeah. And then, I almost forgot, shadow under here. Cool. Look at that. You already got half your face done. And the shadow, by the way, this shadow right here, it conjoins to the shadow right here. So you can just kind of mix these shadows together. You get that. Okay, now it's time to go into the remainder part. Which is basically your lips, cheeks, chin, ears, and then go on your hairline, and that's basically it. You can do some practice if you want. So, let's start off with our mouth. So, before you even go to the mouth, you have a little section right here. Remember this little circle that we established earlier? Yeah. So that's just going to be the bridge from your nose to your mouth. So let's say this is your nose, right? That's your nose. And this is your mouth. It's going to look something like that, spoiler. So, right between here, from your top lip to your nostrils, in this little triangle, there's a little kind of bridge right there. It looks like a little triangle. So, what we could first do is that we can draw a triangle, right? And that basically establishes that bridge. See the little dent right between your nose and your mouth. So, your mouth is quite strange. Your mouth is basically, closest shape to it would be a bow, like an archery bow, right? Kind of looks like that. Cute. So, what you can do to represent it is that you can draw two circles kind of at an angle like this. Kind of like two eyes, like that. Right. Basically two circles, and then one big circle, which basically goes from here to here, as far as these two little circles go. basically, what you do is that you run a line through. So what I like to do in my art style is that I like to draw a little placeholder here, right, which is basically, you know, the curves of your lips, and run a line through. So it's gonna look something like that. Look at that. So cute. Alright. Now, your lips, basically, what you want to do is that you want to treat these as 3D objects. Yes, so what you want to do is some shadowing. Now, if you want to keep it simple, you can just draw. You just finish it like that. Boom. Remember to don't draw any edges on your lips. Your lips are quite smooth. So what you want to do at the top is that you want to curve in, curve out. Curve in, curve out. And then for your bottom one, you can curve slightly in. It's not going to be as prominent as this one, but just curve in, curve out. Look at that. So luscious. So, now comes the shading part, right? If you want to do it more simplistically, then you can just change it in like that. That's a simple way. But yes, so you want to treat it as 3D objects. So most of your light is gonna go here in the mid parts of the circles, right? So most of the shadow is gonna be whatever's furthest away from here. So here, 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 and here are going to be the darkest parts of your mouth. So what you can do is that I like, frankly, shading from out to in. So I like establishing the darkest parts of my lips and then kind of going inwards. So as you get closer to the lightest section, then you're going to have to lighten your shadows. So what I like to do is that I like to do a circular motion on the bottom of the lip, do a circular motion up, and just slowly reduce my pressure. I get a gradient like that. Look at that. So nice. So I just do my circular manner, go to the middle, right? See? Look at that. And then do the same kind of gradient right between here. Outside. Boom. That's your top lip. Now your bottom lip, same thing goes. You want to make a gradient that looks like a 3D object. You want to kind of go in like that. And boom, got a little lip. Maybe define this style a bit more. Boom, there it is. That's a more stylistic approach to it. And then you can add your little chin down here. Chin goes down there. So let's try it. Let's try it on our little person right here. So we have our little heart right here. Okay, this heart is supposed to represent your 3 bulbs. So 1, 2, 3. Those are the lips. This is the chin right underneath. So, what you want to do is that you want to draw the curves of your lips. Now, the curves of your lips, they typically go from, like, let's say this is your eye and this is your curve. Normally, they go from half of your eye width to like a third. So your curve should either be here or somewhere between here. Like, you know, this is your eye, right? Your curve should be here or it should be like there, right? So then, yeah, you can roughly measure out half your eye and draw 2 little stubs here, which are basically, you know, where you're gonna put the ends of your lips. Then just trace a line right between these bulbs. Cool. Draw the lower line, draw the upper line, connect these 2 in a smooth fashion. And then this is where you start shading, right? So you get these corners, you get these ones, you get this middle, and then you start slowly closing in, and boom! Yay! There we go. Okay, as far as this section goes, what you can do is that you can just make a little top lip, shade it, and boom, you got that little bridge, right? So then you add the lips, you add the chin. Chin, you're gonna treat it like a 3D circle, so you're just gonna kind of put a little shadow on the top. Let's cast by your lip, and then go down like that. So, okay. Additional shadowing. The way to make your piece stick out is contrast. Right? I kind of got some light shadows here, and they already kind of help me with my drawing. But the way to get your piece really well done is that you add lots of contrast. So basically here, what you want to do is that you have other shadows on your face, right? You have one here, right? Which is basically like, oh, because your skull goes in and then out, your cheekbones are here, your skull is here, but then there's going to be this middle part where your temple is, and there's going to be a shadow here. And that's going to kind of descend into your forehead like that. So many shadows that you need to know, but for now, this is the basics, right? And then you can also incorporate blush, which just goes on your cheekbones. Frankly, for me and my style, I like to do it like that. You see that? And then just kind of blend it into the skin as it goes towards the nose, and then boom, got something like that. Okay? And what I can also do is that there's also a shadow here, because when your lips curve in, they're making a dent on your face. It's easy to think, or it's hard to think of your features as a dent on your face, but trust me, it helps. Okay. And boom, you add those shadows. You keep essentially just detailing your work. If you feel like your work isn't realistic enough, it's probably because you don't have as much detail. It's nothing to do with really like, your proportions or your skill. It's mostly just how much detailing are you doing, how much shadowing are you doing, and that's basically it. Yeah. So, yeah, add the shadows. Cool. Got your face. Now you can erase this little chin line. You're almost done, but you have your ears to do and you have your hairline to do, which won't take too long, hopefully. So let's erase this around. And let's move on to our ears. Now our ears, I'm only going to do one profile right now. So basically, your ears look really weird when you're facing forward. They kind of look something like a little D, almost. And then you're going to see a little flap right here. You're not going to see the majority of your ears, so it doesn't really concern me. But if you do want to add detail, then you can put a little flap right here. See this kind of arrow thing? Then you can add a little tiny line right here, which is basically just to indicate your ear hole. And then two lines that extend up there. I don't know why they're there. They're just a part of your ear. But yes, so if you could put that, you see? 1, 2, and like that. That's a cute little, representation of your ear. Now with that, you also need shadowing. Since this is part that covers your ear, there's going to be a shadow here. So shadow, and then you can shadow this in, shadow that in. You can join your ear a bit more, and boom, there we go. So, yes, now let's go on to your hair. So, hair is a bit tricky, okay? And that's mostly because I'm not really good at hair. But, basically, what you want to know is that your hair is kind of like water, almost, right? if you leave it alone, then it's gonna go to the place where it's most relaxed, right? So let's say this person has a middle part, long hair, middle part. Basically what I want to do is I want to just foundation. I want to take off the scalp of my person, kind of erase it, but not too much, to a point where I can still see it, and boom. Okay? Right? So that's our person so far. And what I want to do first is that I want to draw the part, like, let's say the part is this. Normally I just draw the part like that, like a little triangle that just kind of conjoins with this person's hairline. It just helps me. But yeah, a little triangle that just points to the back of your scalp. What I want to do is that what you want to do is that you want to draw arrows which basically indicate which way your hair is going to fall, because those will help, guarantee. Okay, so your hair is not, again, it's not like a sheet of paper that you put on your scalp. Your hair has volume to it. So if this is your scalp, then your hair is going to be slightly above your scalp, like that. You see, this is my scalp, but my hair starts here. Like with hair, you want to draw your hair in a basic shape. So basically, I draw a little oval here, which is just to indicate, like, oh, my hair is gonna mention off, and then I can just draw a parallel line down here, and boom, like that. Erase your arrows, surrounding work, and then you got your hair. That's basically it. And then you can start making bobs, whatever. Let's say if this person has a bob, then I could draw little jagged lines which just show, like, oh, the hair is cut at this region. Because not everybody's going to have hair like that. That's crazy. When you draw hair, you're going to want to make it as lively as possible. So, use more curvy lines rather than just stiff lines, because chances are your hair doesn't look like a brick. It doesn't look like a rectangle. No. So, yeah. As far as shading goes, hair is tricky. But basically, there are bends and curves to your hair. So what you want to do is you want to show, like, oh, where is it bending and where is it curving? So I can see that it's curving right around this section, right behind the ears, right? Especially if you're tucking your hair behind your ears, then there isn't a lot of light that's going to touch these areas. So these areas would be relatively dark. Now, shading on your hair, I like to do it in, like, I'm almost doing the eyebrows on a person. I like to do it in kind of, lines like that. Or I don't color it in, but I just kind of slowly sketch it in like that. And the parts that are probably going to be the most exposed to light are going to be these bigger parts, just because there's more surface area, and then parts like here. So I would want to kind of make a gradient, and just kind of, you see, it's lighter here compared to the strokes that I had here. And then just kind of like that. And the hair behind your head is going to be shadowed by your face, so your ears. And yeah. If you're impatient like me, then you can just kind of scribble it. Don't scribble it too hard like that, just lightly like that, so it looks like one figure, right? So, yeah. And this is where you start going up, and then this is where you start getting your lighter strokes, like that, So, look at that. Again, even though you are kind of stroking it, like, they are, like, you know, there are multiple pieces of hair. Like, there are multiple hairs on your head, which there are. You want to treat your hair like one big fluidy object that helps you basically just decide which direction it goes in. It's just a lot less complex for you and me. Okay, so you're gonna have the most shadow here, here, and here, where your hair connects to your roots. So that, and then not as much here. Don't be impatient with me, but do something like that. And then, if you want to make it more fluidy, you can always use your fingers. Kind of do that. Erase the outside. And boom! That is how you make a front-facing person. Yeah, I hope this helped, and yeah, just tip of advice, or a word of advice for just anybody drawing. Always remember to practice and always use references. You know, the lady that I used before as a reference, that really helped me when I was younger to, you know, really draw a face well and to improve my skills much more. So yeah, don't be afraid to use references, and I hope y'all had fun. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. For details, visit www.designyourcareers.org or send an email to info@designyourcareers.org. Subscribe to our channel, Design Your Careers, and hit the bell icon so you'll never miss a video.